So conservative lawmakers in Iowa are considering the removal of Civil Rights Act, which would strip transgender people of basic civil rights. That means that if that goes through, they can be discriminated against in every field. They can be denied health care, even if the health care has nothing to do with gender or transition or anything transgender. And this has happened in the United States before, where doctors have denied transgender people life-saving medical care simply because they were transgender. In one case, years and years ago, a trans man went to the doctor with, I guess, a lump in his breast, and they did tests and whatever, and he never heard back from them. So he thought everything was fine. Then one day, the nurse from the office called and asked him how he was coping with his diagnosis. What diagnosis? He never got one. Turns out he had cancer, and the doctor never called to tell him because the doctor was uncomfortable with his gender, his lifestyle. That monster was going to let him die. In another case, a trans woman, I think she broke a bone. I forget what it was, her arm, her leg, something. At some kind of camp or sporting event, totally wholesome, had nothing to do with transgender issues. Went to the hospital, and I guess insurance refused to pay for it on the grounds that they don't have to cover gender-affirming care. This had nothing to do with gender-affirming care. In Iowa, right, the End Civil Rights Act, the removal of Civil Rights Act, where any false Christian can kill someone by denying them the necessities of life. They can deny them medical care. They can deny them housing. They can deny them shelter. They can deny them access to food, to buy, to the grocery stores, to anything they need. They can discriminate without consequence. They can commit hate crimes without consequence. This is an attempt to kill off a whole lot of people. And if these false Christians don't kill them off, if they don't die off of being attacked or beaten to death by people who are riled up against them, right? A trans man was recently tortured and killed by 4 other people. If that doesn't happen, then they'll kill you off by denying you the necessities of life. They'll just take away what you need to survive, whether it's medical care, shelter, food, whatever it is. And then they can kill with plausible deniability. In other news, still transgender news, another Republican politician, she had a bunch of trans people fired from their jobs because she says they were in a chat room that was engaging in pornography. So the chat room had nothing to do with sex. There were no sex acts being depicted in that chat room. It was a support group for transgender people. A support group. But changing definitions, and I've spoken about this before when I talk about the false Christians, these filthy fucking servants of Antichrist posing as the Church of Christ. Okay, these liars, these manipulators, these murderers. Sick. The cruelty is the point. They changed the definition of words, right? So you think they're talking about one thing, but they mean something else. So when we say porn, most people assume they're talking about sex acts, right? Explicit sexual acts, or discussing that, talking about it, whatever. But now they've included transgender people in general under the term pornographic. So the very mention of transgender, just existing as transgender, and you are pornographic to them, right? That's what they've done. And based on that, she had them fired for their jobs. And which is dangerous, because if your very existence is considered pornographic, and porn is, they want to make porn illegal. In some cases, give the death penalty, right? If they think that someone is engaging in child porn. Now, in reality, I think pedophiles should get the death penalty because of the horrific consequences for the offspring, for the children, especially if those children are little girls and they become pregnant. In a Christian nation, those little girls are going to be facing corporal and capital punishment. What do I mean by that? The Christians take them away. They put them in these homes where they're not going to be able to receive proper medical care. They're going to be forced to endure a natural birth, even if it kills them. And if they survive, they're so young that they're going to either be forced with their offspring into homes that are these false Christian indoctrination camps, right? Into homes that will indoctrinate them, that child will grow up with that indoctrination of the false Christians, or the young mother will not be able to care for her offspring at all. The church takes the offspring, sells it. This is what the adoption industry is. It's a human sex trafficking farm. It's a human baby mill. It's a breeding farm. Okay, they take those babies and they sell them. The church sells them. The mothers don't see any money. The church sells them to families that also follow the same false Christian doctrine. And so the new offspring, the new generations are groomed into the false church. So it's horrific that the physical, psychological, emotional agony that these rape victims have to endure under the false church. I absolutely think that pedophiles should get the death penalty. The problem is the false church is changing the definition of pedophilia. They're trying to change the law to get rid of age of consent. They're justifying adult men having sex with very young girls. Okay, they're using religion, they're using nature. Then what the fuck do they think is pedophilia? Well, they consider the entire LGBT community to be pedophilic, even if they have nothing to do with kids. They're changing definitions. So when they say, oh, they're going to stop sex trafficking, not what you understand about sex trafficking. They don't care. They take children across state lines all the time. All these sick males have to do is perform their fake marriage ritual, their man-made marriage ritual, call it a holy union, and they force little girls to do horrible things like that. This false church buys and sells kids. They force women and girls to breed, and then they sell the offspring. I mean, it's a human baby mill, and it's a sex trafficking mill. What do they consider sex trafficking to be? Anything LGBTQ+, if you expose that to children. No sex involved. If you exist as a trans person. And soon I have to wonder, are they gonna start going for how people dress? Are they going to force women to wear skirts again on the grounds that wearing pants is too masculine? That they're trying to represent themselves as male? How far is this going to go? And we know now with the false church, they'll take it as far as they can. They get one little inch in the door, right? And they slam the door wide open. You give them an inch, they take everything. You know, same with the getting rid of civil rights for certain groups. This is going to happen to everyone. They're doing it first to scapegoat groups. When they can get away with that, now they can do it to anyone. That's the plan. That's their plan. What do they consider sex trafficking to be? You have a child. That child is transgender. You take that child across state lines to get transgender care, not surgery, not physical care, but psychological care. Mental health, whatever the case may be, support. You want to change, you want to affirm their gender and the name they want to be called, right? And you move to a free state that allows that. They consider that sex trafficking. If a woman is having a bad pregnancy and she's dying, okay, women have had to be airlifted out of red states to blue states in order to get life-saving care for miscarriages, right? They won't even, goddamn, these sick fucks, these sick Republicans won't even clear out a miscarriage if they say that there's still a beating heart. We're talking about a clump of cells that doesn't even have a heart. We're talking about something that will never be a baby. The woman is becoming septic. The woman is hemorrhaging. They won't treat her. Women have bled out in parking lots and hospital bathrooms. They have to wait until her vital signs are crashing, until she's dying in front of them before they do anything. And that's not necessarily the doctor's fault. They're following the law. They're afraid of getting sued. Women have been airlifted to blue states to get emergency help, and a lot of them die. They don't make it, and others. One woman was in a coma for how long? She lost her reproductive organs. I mean, it was horrible. That's considered sex trafficking. It's considered taking a minor over state lines to perform an abortion, which they decided is sex trafficking. Okay. If a couple is married, a husband and wife, and their wife is in labor, and she's having trouble and she needs emergency care, okay, she's not going to get that care in a red state. They're taking all of that away. Anything that gets in the way of natural birth, they call bad, even if mother and baby die. So this shows it's not about value for life. It's about a sacrifice to their filthy God that wants women and little girls to suffer and die, even if it also kills the baby. when they could save both with modern medical care. They will not. But what happens? That man drives his wife over the border, he at least tries to get her life-saving care at a real hospital. Now they're considered sex traffickers for sex trafficking the fetus. So listen to me. Anyone who still supports this regime is a bad person. There's no more excuses. Okay? Right now, what they're doing to transgender people is going to be done to everyone. Whatever rights they can take away from one group, whatever freedoms and rights they can justify taking away from one group, if they're legally allowed to get away with it, once that's done, they can do it to any group, and that is the plan all along. Okay? Transgender people are just a scapegoat group right now. They don't want anyone in this country to have real bodily autonomy. They don't want us to have bodily autonomy. They don't want us to have financial autonomy. They don't want us to have the right to move around freely, to cross state lines freely. And they're using any excuse they can to work that into law. But soon it will be imposed on everyone. In the next generation of offspring, they're going to be raised in a situation with no freedom at all. Not bodily autonomy, not financial autonomy, not the right to move freely and cross state lines freely, not even autonomy over their own mind. Because now, with Musk and his brain-to-computer interface, I mean, that is literally synthetic telepathy. You know, they're trying to kill off as many people as possible. They're taking away modern medicine, not just from pregnant women, but from trans people, from the poor, from the sick. They're cutting Medicaid. They're replacing real, legitimate modern medicine with fake, this fake wellness crap that doesn't work. Because they're trying to kill off as many people as possible. They do want people to have more babies because that new offspring will then be raised in this new system, and that's all the new generation will know. They won't know anything from the past. They won't know their real history. For many of them, their parents won't even be there because their mother will have died giving birth. Their father will have died at war. Or the father will raise them in the false system because that false system caters to his needs. So, his biological, sexual needs. So, this is what they want, to kill off the old, bring in the new, and the new will be raised in the system, and that's all they'll know. Anyway, what's happening to trans people is horrible. You're going to have refugees at your border if you're not from the United States. Understand, you're going to be hearing lies about the people coming in. They are lies. Okay, the false Christians are changing definitions. Okay, so what you understand, the definition you understand of a word is not what they mean. Later.